Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how you can properly clean your figurines if you are a figure collector, and some of the best methods that I found work when actually dealing with getting rid of dust and the things that gather on the figures themselves. Now, figure collecting is kind of one of those hobbies that requires a lot of attention, and it's not just something you can buy and go with. Because I don't have display cases, it's harder to keep dust off my figurines. And as such, I've looked into some methods that can be used to clean dust, besides just using a cloth, because a lot of times there's tiny little nooks and crannies on each of the figurines, especially with the Amane I'm using as an example here with her hair. There's a bunch of stuff it's really hard to get behind and get into. So I'm actually going to demonstrate how you can properly clean your figure without having to use, for example, like I said, the cloth or even compressed air. Compressed air is usually pretty good for getting rid of dust. A lot of the times, though, the problem with that is it can be very high pressure, and sometimes that high pressure can damage some of the really tiny parts if you put a little too much wind pressure behind it. So I guess is the thing I'm trying to explain here. Obviously, there's different pressurized air cans, but finding that kind of stuff is a little more difficult. So one of the easiest methods I found is actually just to use a brush to dust off most of the dust on your figure. And the brush I use is a small hobby brush that I picked up from a hobby shop in Japan. You can use basically any standard paintbrush to do this. You don't really need a really tiny brush and a big brush, because a lot of the times you can just use the tiny brush to get into most of the areas. This is just a natural bristle brush. So, it bends, moves, standard paintbrush, nothing really special about it, but it is used for hobby, painting and decorating, such as like Gundam figures and, model kits. Now, I don't build any actually figurines, so obviously I just use the brush to clean, but I'll kind of demonstrate here how you can do that. The first thing you want to do is actually, most dust will gather on the top of your figurine, obviously, because that's where dust settles on any surface. So a lot of the times, if you have a lot of slopes, like here in Amane on the stomach, or for example, down the leg, you won't really gather any dust. Of course, Amane has an arched back here, so there will gather a lot of dust on top of the back here, which I can actually rotate the figure and show you. On the back side here, she'll get a lot of dust. In addition, she has a lot of little intricacies in her hair as well, so they'll get a lot of dust here settling on here. Now, a cloth is nice, but the problem with a cloth is that I can't really get in between her hair and her backside, so it's really difficult to actually get back there. In addition, getting some of this area of the hair is really challenging with just a cloth as well. But basically, you want to find the areas that are kind of focused upward, because that's where dust will settle. So like on the arm here, the top of the head, obviously all figures on the top of the head, the back side of the leg here. The base will also gather dust, obviously, but since the base is usually pretty big, you can use a cloth on the base. That's pretty simple. You can also, if you really want, use compressed air on the base as well, because brushing off the base is kind of a waste of time. You don't really, and the figure's already usually nailed in or sturdy enough on the base itself, and you don't need to worry about using a cloth or compressed air. So that being said, I'm going to rotate here and kind of show you what I do. So I just simply take the brush, and you kind of just stroke it naturally. There's really nothing special here, but try to get between all the little nooks and crannies. With this kind of brush, it's really nice because like I can push down and it'll kind of conform to where I'm trying to move with it. Just run over it gently. You don't need to go necessarily pretty hard. And then just make sure you dust off all the little tiny holes and stuff in the figure. So you can tell like this hairpiece is kind of bendy. So you want to be careful when you're doing this as well, so you don't actually rip any of the parts off. But I mean, see, it's just a standard sweep over. And then she's pretty clean. Like I said, you can get the back of the leg here, and you don't need to unassemble the hose to get back here. And then I was talking about the back side too. If I rotate her, I can go down her arm here, and then get down here in the back. If I flip her front, sometimes you can even dust the face. It doesn't really affect anything. Obviously, the top of her chest here might get a little bit of dust. So dusting that area off as well might help. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to do. I'll actually demonstrate another figure here that's a little more, got a little more kind of nooks and crannies and how the brush can actually work there. So I'll take the Amane figure off here, and I will grab another figurine. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to use, I think her name's Sumika from Mavlov, as this demonstration because she's actually a different material. Her suit's kind of plastic. So one of the things I wanted to reiterate is that this brush will work on any material, metal, plastic, whatever it may be, rubber, because it's kind of like a rubberish plastic material. And it can also work, like for example, the base. I'm going to actually lift her up here and show you. So first we get, obviously the top of the head, and then like the bow tie in the back. Obviously some of her settling areas, like where all the dust might settle on top. And then, now she has an interesting base, which is really hard to maneuver around, which is why I chose this figurine. Because obviously using a cloth on like this base and getting up in between here, and also just like some of the rock formation is really like difficult to just use a cloth on. So it works really well to use a brush to get alongside all the plastic of the rock. Even the hard to reach areas, you can see there's that little tiny gap here. You can even use the brush just to kind of sneak in between the rock too, like right there. Really nice and easy. And a lot of times, sometimes with heavier cloths or bigger wiping materials, it's really difficult to get in these tiny little nooks and crannies. So it's good for it. You can get the backside too. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks guys for watching this video. Hope it was helpful. You can do this basically for any figurine. Otherwise, if you're going to use a tiny cloth, I recommend using a microfiber cloth. Something you can use like to clean glasses, for example, or your laptop screen, computers, TV screen, something like that. The smaller the microfiber cloth, the better, because then you can get in smaller areas, obviously. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks guys for watching, and I guess we'll catch you in the next one. Alright, see you, bye.